Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We're going to do a pretty extensive how-to today. And this is quarantine COVID-19 coronavirus project. My buddy Jay wanted his boat worked on again. We've done a few of his projects and now we're going to do a major one. We're going to redo the flooring, pull out all this carpet, and we're going to do vinyl flooring. You got some marine vinyl flooring we're going to put down. Really going to make the boat pop, make it look new. Carpet, it ages and gets worn out, and a lot of times now a lot of the new boats are coming with vinyl on the floor and carpet on the sides, which is what we're going to do. We're going to leave the carpet on the sides and pretty much redo the decks and the floor and all the compartment lids and everything in vinyl. It'll look pretty sick when it's all done, but it is a lot of work. You won't really find a lot of shops will want to mess with this kind of work, so it is something you're probably going to want to tackle on your own, or you're going to pay a lot of money, $4,000 or $5,000, even up to $8,000 to re-vinyl a whole boat. So it's quite an expense. So it's something that you may want to try to think about doing yourself. I'm going to tell you, you're going to have to remove the windshield, both consoles. To do that, you're gonna have to undo all the wiring for the gauges and switches, pull the helm off, the steering wheel and the helm off, and be able to remove both consoles. And you're gonna have a pretty basic handyman skills and knowledge. I mean, if you've laid linoleum floor and stuff before, it's not that much harder than doing something like that. You just got a lot of angles and stuff to deal with, a lot more cuts. So stay tuned and check it out and see how we do it. Now what I've done is I've labeled all the different wiring connections, different harnesses. You'll label, like, you know, every connector 1, 2, 3 on both sides. Makes it easier for putting it back together. You know, label any kind of bullet connectors or something like that. This set goes to, I labeled out 4, and then the ones that it all came off of 4. Make sure they're color coordinated before you pull them apart. And then, like, say for instance, this one really doesn't matter, but I mean, so there's 2 different black wires. So just, I labeled this one with a piece of tape, and the other black wire that I pulled it off of with a piece of tape, just to keep it kind of simple. I mean, all the grounds are going to be the same, so it doesn't really matter, but this is a good rule of thumb. If you're unsure, just mark it, and it'll all go back together. So now what I've done is I've disconnected the gauge and dash side of the harness from the boat side of the harness, with all the connectors under there. Remove the fishfinder wire, transducer wire, and then now what we have to do is actually, we're going to pull the steering wheel apart, and we're going to knock the helm, the actual rack, out, and then that way the console, the helm, is actually ready to be removed from the boat. We'll have to undo the windshield, and then the whole driver's helm can be removed from the boat. Do something very similar for the passenger, but you don't have all the wiring. You're gonna pull your center cap off. To do this, pull the center cap off, take this nut off, and then it's a tapered spline. So the trick to do that is you want to get a brass drift or a brass hammer and kind of pull out on the steering wheel as you give a nice solid tap to the shaft, and knock the taper splines off. You're gonna separate the steering wheel from the actual rack and pinion here. I say this wasn't really, it was kind of a planned job, but I didn't plan on being furloughed for this coronavirus thing, so a lot of my tools are still at work. So forgive me if you see me doing something kind of not normal. I'm just trying to get the job done. Almost should have done this before I took the easiest way to do this is to either sit in the chair, but In this boat, I had to remove the chair in order to even try to fit my ass under the helm here to do the wiring. So you're gonna kind of, with your knee and your thigh and your wrist right here, your hand rather, kind of pull back on it and give that a good, like that. So they're all like that. So you want, that's what I say, you want to give it a little bit of pressure and give it a good couple of smacks with a brass mallet or a brass drift. You don't want to mushroom that out. You want to be able to get that nut back on. So pop that steering wheel off like that. There's a keyway, don't lose it. And then now we can take this this cap off here and unbolt the whole rack from the helm. There. And then you can undo these mounting bolts right here, and then the whole rack will drop through. Or if you have hydraulic steering, it's basically the same thing. It doesn't really matter if you have cable steer or hydraulic steer at this point. All you're trying to do is remove this the steering wheel, the helm, and separate it from the actual dash so that it can lay in here and we can remove the console. There you go. Now everything's disconnected. We can take this off now. So your windshield mounting bolts or lags in this scenario are always behind this little trim. So we got the consoles off. So now we're gonna start pulling the deck off, looking for deck screws, pull them out, and get it down to where you can pull the whole front deck piece off. And we'll get that out, and then we'll do the same for the back deck and start tearing the carpet off of the inside and off those decks. We'll prep the surface, and then we'll put the glue down, spray the glue down, or you can roll it on, and I'll show you how to do that. All right, let's keep at it. Stay tuned. And you kind of just gotta start lifting, and if it doesn't feel like it's gonna come, well, find the screw. See? All right, so we got the carpet cut out, and what's good about doing it this way is we can use the carpet as a template for what we need to do, but leave yourself some, you know, cut it fat, as they say. Give yourself some wiggle room on all the sides, so, you know, maybe go an inch or so past where the carpet is, and you can clean your cuts up later once everything's fitted inside. for glue. All right, so some of the basic tools you're gonna have to have, other than of course your drill, screw gun, drill bits, all that kind of stuff. You're gonna want to pick you up a HVLP spray gun, just a cheap one from Harbor Freight. You can just throw it away when you're done or clean it out. So you're gonna get that, gonna get your glue. Got this glue here on Amazon. See how well it works. I haven't used this particular glue before, but it had really good reviews. So we're gonna try that out. You can roll this glue on, but it actually sprays on a lot better. A lot easier to work with, less messy, nice even coats of glue. So you get a good stick. You're gonna need a high-speed air sander to sand some of that old glue off. Also a good scraper. Again, just pick it up from Harbor Freight or something like that. Good floor scraper. Get that glue off, get that old carpet residue off of the floor and the sides. If you do have to pop your steering wheel off, like you said, you're gonna need a brass hammer or a brass drift or something to knock that steering wheel off of the tapered spline. You know, some sanding pads or sandpaper. And you're gonna have to have a straight edge for making your lines and cutting, a razor knife, and a trusty tape measure. Those are some of the basic tools, other than your normal tools you're gonna probably have to have anyway. Drill, screws, screwdriver, all that kind of stuff you're gonna need. So just a heads up, that's what I would get to start out with. All right, we're back at it today. It's kind of raining outside. Just calling for rain, showers all day, but that's okay because we got the decks off and we're gonna work on the decks inside the garage. Hopefully the lighting will be okay, but we're gonna roll with it anyway. So we're gonna tear the carpet off of these and we're gonna put vinyl down on both the front and rear deck and also the driver's seat box. So we got plenty of work to do inside. And hopefully tomorrow we'll be able to put everything back together. So check it out. We're stuck in here. Can't really go anywhere too much. It's quarantine time, so I'm sure you guys are sitting at home still watching this. Hopefully by the time this thing's edited, we get some answers on what's going on. But we're gonna stay inside. We're gonna work on this boat and get her done. All right, so what you're gonna wanna do, even if you think they're about the same size or whatever, always label everything. Label wires, label doors, hinges, everything. So you're going to label, you know, your compartments so that they go back in the right spot and they also open in the right direction. So when you go to take your hinges and everything off, you're going to want to make sure which door is what and which way it's supposed to open. Otherwise, you can forget. Just go ahead and label everything, label all your wires, label everything when you're taking a boat apart. The more redundant, the better. Just dummy proof it, because sometimes things happen, and the worst thing can happen is you tear your whole boat apart, and then something else happens and you don't get to work on it, and then you go to put it back together week 2, 3 down the road, and now you have no idea what wire went where or what hinge went where. So just label everything as you're taking it apart and you'll be better off. So yeah, pick you up a scraper. Harbor Freight scraper, like $3, $4 or something like that, has saved the day. I'm not going to do a vinyl job without this again. I've had to replace the blade a few times. I'm going to have to do it again here, but really saves the day. I mean, it makes pretty quick work out of getting a lot of this crap off. So, recommend. Way more elbow grease and a lot more chemicals. Usually I just pour acetone all over this stuff and let it soak for a while, then use a putty knife or rags and try to clean it all off. But evidently in the COVID-19 outbreak, acetone has become a commodity. I guess people are disinfecting with it. I don't know. I guess it's hard to find acetone right now. We're going chemical free here on this project. We're going green. You want to leave a little bit of room. So when you're going around the corner, you don't want to just cut like at an angle right off the corner, kind of like you normally would, or you would think you would. When you do that, you're going to fold it over, and you're going to fold this over, and you'll have an exposed wood corner. So you want to fold it over and kind of give yourself, you know, maybe like a finger width right here off, and you're going to cut down like that, so that way you can kind of wrap that corner. When you fold this over, you can wrap the corners and not have any exposed wood on your deck or any of your corners on the boat. Leave yourself plenty to work with. Don't take too much off right at first. You can always cut a little bit more off as you start folding, and like I say, you can always take more off. You can't ever put it back. So on the bottom, you can go ahead and use some staples. Kind of helps as you're doing this on the decks. For a lot of the aluminum or the you know, just folding over and stapling down on the back side of the decks, you'll use a 3M high strength spray glue. Works great, it tacks up real quick. The other glue is good for doing on the wood decks and letting it cure. This stuff you kind of want it to get tacky pretty quick, so you can work with it a little bit better. Otherwise that stuff takes 24 hours to cure. The other glue we've been using on the top sides of the deck. Like I say, you'll just make your corner and then go ahead and trim any excess off. And a straight razor works better for cutting instead of a box cutter. So when you go to do the inside corners, the outside corners aren't too bad to do, but when you do the inside corners, really the best way to do this is to save all your scraps that you cut off and cut triangle off like so. Cut a triangle off like that. And reason being, when you cut this in here like this, there's no real good way to do this on an inside corner. So you got an inside corner, right? That wood is exposed. So what you have to do then is make yourself a little patch piece. Like when we're gonna put this in, we're gonna glue this in and we're gonna staple it right inside that corner like that, and then we're gonna cut it and fold it over. So it'll look like this like this one here, when I'm done, you can see there, once you get that done, that's what it'll look like. So it hides that exposed wood in the inside corner. There's not really any other way I know of to make that look quite right. So on the inside corners, that's what I do. Pretty good, pretty good. Alright, so we got the decks all back in, the flooring's done, the sides done. So now it's time to put the consoles back in and then trim everything out. So check it out. so we wrapped the seat box here. I'm gonna put the seat back on it, put all the seats back in. Only thing we got left to do after that is we're actually gonna put some diamond plate we bought on the bow. There's some carpet there underneath the trolling motor mount. So we're gonna swap the trolling motor around to the other side. He would rather have it deploy off the other side. He's believing, and he's read on some forums, that having the kicker motor on one side and then the trolling motor, the bow mount, deploying off the same side as the kicker is causing the boat to kind of list to that side. So told him while we're doing this, we'll just swap it to the other side, no big deal, and see if that makes a difference. So what I'm doing here is trimming this piece out. One of the drawbacks of going to vinyl when you've had carpet is all your lids and everything are cut for the thickness of all the carpet. So you got a carpet layer, a carpet layer, a carpet layer, a carpet layer. So you have at least 4 thicknesses of carpet for your lid on both sides and the hinge and everything. So when you have vinyl, you're gonna be left with a gap. Some are worse than others. They're not all the same. So this one's a little bit worse than I would like. Plus there's a void behind it. So reason I'm gonna do that is we're gonna put this in. Structurally the door is the same, but it's just a looks thing. I'm gonna put that piece of aluminum in right there, rivet that down, and it fills that void and makes it for a nice clean look. So just use your own you know, artistic abilities and figure something out, you know, to make it work. You know, they sell this aluminum trim in different thicknesses at Home Depot and Lowe's and stuff, so just get some of that. I also use it to trim out the sides, you know, just make it kind of a clean look all around the boat where you have any seam. You can also wrap these in vinyl if you'd like. You can wrap it in the vinyl if you don't like the bare aluminum look, and do that on any seam you had to have, or where you had to butt up against carpet or something like that. You can make your own trim. All right guys, well, we're all finished. It was a lot of work. Thanks for watching. If I mean, it's probably going to take you, if you got a boat where you're doing this much work and having to pull all the consoles and everything off, all the decks, I mean, you're looking at about 4 days of work, couple of weekends, roughly. So just take your time, and you know, turns out pretty good when you're all done. It's almost like a new boat. Like I said, it saves a lot of money doing it yourself. Shops will charge you anywhere from $3,500 to up to $8,000 for a re-vinyl job. So just do that. In hindsight, again, I don't know if I mentioned it before, in hindsight, I would not have used this glue. This glue is new to me. It was something that Amazon recommended, seemed to have good reviews. It just takes too long to set up, and it's not as easy to work with from what I'm used to using from Tracker, what they provide us at work. Honestly, 3M, the high strength spray glue rated for high temperatures and high strength, I would use that instead. I would just buy a box of cans of that. It's a whole lot easier to work with, and it holds really good. I always use that for any aluminum anyway, but in hindsight I probably would have used that for the whole job on this one. Just not a fan of this new glue that we tried from Amazon, so I wouldn't use this stuff. Try something else. Let me know if you have any questions. And again, I know this is a long video, it's a long job, so thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe, And let me know if you have any questions anytime. All right, thanks guys.